It's kind of a sorry. It's fine.
Do you like them? Nobody looks like it. Exactly. I see it. I don't look like a coach. We are just thinking. Yes. Well, I mean, you can have some of the future. But, you know,
See if you can do
yeah, they haven't started. That's a good first
I just graduated.
It really is quite
here.
I figured that's pretty small.
Was there another one?
There wasn't a tall one that one that I gave her, but she might have always like.
We'll find it.
I don't play it.
Yeah, yeah.
Silence.
Yeah, I turned it on. Maybe I'll just turn it on. Yeah, that's what I did.
I'll turn it upside down. Oh, you don't have that flashing.
I could just put it right.
That's what I'm going
It's gonna be hard to go up. We just have to, did we hear anything about the show?
Yeah.
Did you hear
Did they
anything?
say something? So we'll go up to the
Should plan for.
To take possession.
That's the one thing they need or somebody.
Maybe they, sometimes they'll do a house first. Somebody's not
Good.
So
Can you see it on the computer?
Yes, compared to me, she looks so much more. No, I agree with that. I like her. It's just. It's hard. You know, the last 6 months really, she said,
She was pretty proud of you.
We're just checking the live stream there.
Every single thing she has to this. She went next to
but her mind gets better than
Just working through a bit of technical issues there, but while we're started, we can probably get going since we don't have. I'm sorry? Yes. So we have a bit of a checklist. The only one that's on it is silence your phones. I always forget, and it's embarrassing for me. So, my name is David. For those that I haven't met, there's a couple of faces I don't recognize. Linda's second oldest son. Obviously, we're delighted for everybody that is here today. It's a pretty small event. Our mother kept her circle small, but it kept it important. So I think we have all of the really important people in her life here, and those that couldn't make it, we are going to join us by YouTube, hopefully. So the link will be going. The format today is extremely simple. I'm not going to get up here and have a speech. There's no preaching. There's no sermon. It's an opportunity to share memories. Feel free to come up and share your memory, or feel free to sit and share your memory from where you're sitting. I think we're just trying to share happy moments with our mother over the years, and grandmother, great-grandmother. I don't think the great-great is there, so cross that one off the list. But feel free to share, and very, very informal. Stephen, anything else that I missed? We're good. And Jeff, anything that you wanted to add?
Sorry, I was trying to do some technical stuff, but just informal. Anybody who wants to share like a story that they have of mom, a memory, something significant, just come on up. And we don't have a specific agenda. If anybody online wants to share something, you can message one of the kids here, and we'll get it read for you. Thanks.
Actually, that's probably a note. I'm thinking that the microphone is probably connected to the camera.
Yep.
So if you do share something and you're sitting, it won't be shared with the remote people. So just consider that. But for those that fear public speaking, we're all friends. We're not really speaking in public. Just me.
My name is Ruth Stiles. This is such an honor and a shock. I couldn't believe how affected I was by hearing she was sick and then hearing that she had passed. I met Linda over 50 years ago, so we've got a lot of history. And when I met her, I didn't realize how significant our relationship would be. And in some ways, those of you that know Anne of Green Gables, I felt like a kindred spirit with her. And so I just want to say for each of you, she loved you guys so much. She was so proud of you. She worked so hard to get you the best life she could. There's a few random things that I thought of. She was a really good cook, even though she would never acknowledge it. And she was tenacious in supporting you guys, all the different things that you did. I was thinking Tammy with her YWAM, and Davey with his marching band. And then she talked about Jeffy and Stevie and Esther, and she'd tell me different things. And some of it I won't go into, of course, because it's confidential, but I just loved it. I loved how brave she was and how she was willing to face hard things. She was brilliant. And she passed that on to you guys. Just the brilliant. To go back to school when she was, her 40s, and to get a job. And the thing that absolutely blew my mind, because I'm not a morning person, she'd get up and go to the gym before she'd go to work at 7 o'clock. So she was at the gym at like 4:30 in the morning. And that was like, oh man, that's amazing. But as I thought of her passing, the verse came to my mind, and literally I'm drawing a blank on where it's found. But it's a verse from the Bible, and it just brings me comfort. Eyes have not seen, nor ears have heard, nor has entered into the heart of any man what God has prepared for those who love him. And I think right now, Linda is experiencing a level of love and care and acceptance that she might have never had in her life. And it's partly because of her relationship with God, and you guys talked about that. But she was a precious lady, and I know she's going to be missed. I had a nice chat with Diane on how she's going to miss her a lot. And I really appreciate how you all have been, at various times in your life, been good, extra good to her, helped her out in so many different ways. And she told me about that. And I just think that's so admirable. You've taught your kids how to treat older people. And that is really cool. So anyway, my condolences to you all and love you all. And I just think this is a wonderful time to remember your mom. And I'm so glad that some of you at least were able to be with her when she passed. And that she passed fast and she didn't suffer. All those things are a blessing, even though they're hard and they're a shock. And we're still in shock. So take it.
I spent some time today just this morning I was thinking about what I would say about Mom, and it's a lifetime, right? So Mom did everything for us. She sacrificed so much. And I look at my life today and some of the influences we had growing up and the situations we grew up in. And it was because of Mom that I am where I am. Yesterday we had a viewing here for those that were here, and there was the top of the casket. We were able to write notes on there, and it was really incredible to see the stuff that we each wrote. And the thing I can say about Mom is she's just an incredible person. She gave everything for us, and I am where I am today because she is who she was. And if I had stories, it's just her faith in God is a huge part of her life. And I'm not going to preach, but at the same time, it's I hear what you're saying, Ruth, with heaven, and she was so firm in her belief that she is going to be with her Savior, and I believe she is there today, and she has peace today that she's never known. She struggled so much in her life, how she grew up. The struggles she had was beyond even understanding, and now she has peace. The fight is over, and she's at home. I wanted to share, this was from Auntie Donna. One time, Linda was driving my kids and I to Ma and Pa's, and she loved to sing when we stopped. And my son asked, "Auntie Linda, is that how you got that big crack in the windshield?" It's so true. She loved singing in the car. It's just, that's a great memory of me too. So, but I could see where that would come from too. And then she says, "Oh my word, did we laugh?" And as years went on, we always got a chuckle out of it. In 1988, when she was volunteering for the Olympics, which was a big thing for her, she looks back on that forever as a fantastic time in her life. When she was volunteering for the Olympics, she took me with her to see the Beach Boys. What a time we had, and did we sing, LOL. We had many other fun times, but these we just remembered. I just want to say to Linda's children and grandchildren how sorry for your loss I am, and that I was unable to be there with you, and my love and prayers are with all of you. Linda was a wonderful lady who did things her way. She will be missed. Rest in peace, Linda. I love you, from Auntie Donna.
I'm going to tell my story before I start ugly crying and losing it later. We were talking today just about how you know, despite everything, she prevailed. She prevailed in a way that most people who went through what she went through, I think, would not have. And about how her legacy is that she has 5 kids that none of us ended up on the streets. None of us ended up, you know, we're all productive and healthy and working through our own things despite the hard times that we did have. And that I think is her legacy, is that she was able to break a cycle that so many people don't have the strength to, and to pass that down to her kids and grandkids. And that she did that by sacrificing everything she had for us kids. She had demons that she could never was successfully able to battle. But it didn't matter. She still gave everything she had. Even when she had nothing, she still gave it to us, her kids and her grandkids. And I would remember even in the last couple of years, I would go shopping with her and she might have $20 to her name, but she'll still spend 19 of it on her grandkids. And how I was thinking about just how much she sacrificed for us to be able to thrive and to have amazing kids and grandkids that she loved every single one of. A really good story from my mom. After I was diagnosed with cancer in 2020 in March, but I needed somebody to come to Montreal for a scan. And Mom, even though she, you know, it was COVID, everything's shut down, she was the first one to jump and say, yeah, I'll come with you, because, you know, just nobody else was able to come with me and I couldn't go alone. And so we had it was only 3 days, but we just had the best time. And she'd never been to Quebec. She had never seen the fall trees, and she was able to see that because it was in October. She was able to see, and she was just in awe of the beauty because we had to drive to Sherbrooke, which is 2 hours away from Montreal. And anyways, so we had a wonderful time. We went to some fabric stores, which was always the thing on the agenda with Mom. And we had some lovely takeout dinners because the restaurants were closed. And but anyways, on the way back, she was in charge of navigating. I drove the rental and she navigated. But in Montreal, we got to Montreal and we went around in circles about probably an hour to an hour and a half. We just kept going in circles over and over, and we kept seeing signs that say to the airport, but the GP at her Google Maps was telling us to go this way. Well, finally we stopped and found a place to pull over and stop, and it turned out she had the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Park punched into her phone instead of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Airport. So the GPS was taking us to the park, and so we kept missing it over and over. And if anybody knows my mom, if you were not 15 minutes or an hour early, you were late for anything. Mom was always an hour early for everything. And so she was panicking. We had 3 hours before our flight, but she didn't think that was enough. She thought we needed 5. And she was just panicking. And she's like, but we're gonna miss our flight. And I was like, calm down. It's COVID. There's like nobody at the airport. We're gonna be okay. And it turned out we did make it. but we forgot to fill up the rental car with gas, and so I had some explaining to do to the car rental agent. But it'll forever just be a really good memory. And Mom, she was always up for helping me, and that's something I'm really gonna miss. Is, you know, she understood what I have been dealing with, and she let me vent to her. She let me talk to her about how horrible I feel, and she still found a way to comfort. And her thing, you just keep on trucking, is really, I think, another legacy of hers, is that no matter what. And that was actually an inspiration of my mom that I used to get through this battle, and that if my mom can get up and keep going after everything she had been through, then I could do it too. And so that's something I'll have to keep remembering, that she still kept going, and she never ever quit. She had times where she was discouraged and she wanted to give up, but she never did. And even the day before, on Monday, she still was driving around and coming to get our house to get a hamburger. And so I just feel like she did die very much on her own terms, and quickly. Like Ruth was mentioning, it was quick, and I appreciate that for her. She deserved peace, and I was there as she passed, and I was holding her hand, and all I could think was that, it's okay, Mom, you don't have to fight anymore. And I think she's in a really good place now. And thanks, everybody.
I'm probably going to flub up today and start crying on here, so try and get through this. I guess for those of you, some of you know, most of you know me, maybe not on the video, but I'm Adam and Esther's husband. I guess you guys talk about Linda and her kids, and I want to go back to those days, because where I met Linda was when she was the director at Big Brothers. Linda was responsible for so many matches of kids and making sure they were taken care of as well. And so she took care of that. And the memory that I have is, you know, it's not just you guys. She touched so many other people in terms of the kids that she matched and helped, you know, to give them a role model and a support person. And I remember playing floor hockey with her. You know, she would get out there with these kids, and she's playing floor hockey, and volleyball wasn't so much her strong suit, being the height, but I guess my biggest memory, and that's where I first met her, over on McCarris Street there, was she got to interview me. And I mean, never been through an interview like that. And this was in, 97? And I mean, the questions, are you single? Do you do drugs? Do you drink alcohol? All this stuff you had to go through. I mean, there were other ones that I won't mention that are more personal. She kept going. It's like it was worse than a criminal record check. In the end, you know, so she does all this, and I was successfully matched. And then she doesn't stop there. Oh, would you like to become a board member? We really need someone like you. We need some youth on here. And I mean, I'm 25 at the time, so, or 24. And okay, so I unknowingly commit, oh, we're gonna do a workshop. Would you like to come to the workshop with all these Big Brother agencies here, and gonna call them all in? So she does that. And where this is going is, not only does she do that, but here's a woman who knows everything about me, because this questionnaire is like 20 pages long, plus the criminal record check. So at the end of the first day, her and Sharon, I think, who used to be the Moose Jaw Big Brothers lady, say, oh, do you want to come out to the bar afterwards with us? Okay, at the time, alcohol and me, no, don't touch it. Still don't really. Okay, sure, well, no. Well, my daughter's gonna be there. And I'm like, okay, I guess I could, because otherwise, you know, 24, the rest of them are 40 plus, you know, I'm the youngest one. I guess on the other side that was going on was, oh, this guy's gonna be there, you know, to Esther. And so what happened that night was suddenly everybody had to leave, and Adam, can you drive Esther home? So she basically had everything she knew about me, and she kind of picked out who she thought would be a match for her daughter. And the rest kind of became history. So it's kind of funny how she, I guess, gave me one of the greatest gifts I could have, and that was her daughter. And all you guys, getting to meet and be with you guys, and just all the kids that she touched and everything she did. So I just wanted to say that memory of her because it was really good. So thank you.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
I'm kind of all shaky, so sorry if I like stutter and stuff. I don't really have anything planned, but I spent a lot of time with her as a youngin, so I never, whenever she took me somewhere or we hung out, I never felt like she had a lot of issues. She had a really bad past. I don't know the half of it, but I never felt like she took that out on the people around her. I never felt like she just wanted to make the people around her happier. And it was really admirable the way that she didn't let her problems stop her from being happy around others. And I don't know, I never felt like she took her problems out on me or anyone else. She just pushed past it, and she took care of us. So I don't know, I think she touched on a lot of it. She had a lot of issues, but she put that to the side, and she did her best. So I don't know, I really appreciated, she was always so happy, so loving, so caring, and I guess that's what I have to say. But yeah, I don't know. So one of the things that we used to do as a kid, she would take me out to movies and stuff, and I remember one of the first movies that she brought me to. We were right out of the movie theater, and so I have this big black jacket. I have a big pocket, right? You can fit a lot inside of there. So she always, whenever you went into the car, she always had this big pack of salted taffy, and I was never the biggest fan of it, but she loved it. So she always had like a big bag full of like 5 pounds of like salted taffy every time. So we stopped right outside of the movie theater, and I'm like, so how are we gonna bring this in? Like, I'm sweating. Like I'm like 10 years old, and I'm like, well, how are we gonna bring this in? Because like you're not allowed to bring your own candy, right? So she sticks this it barely fits. She just sticks this massive bag of salted taffy in my jacket. It's like bulging out. And she's like, it'll be fine. So I'm walking past, I'm like sweating. I'm like, I thought this is illegal. So we're walking past at the ticket, and I just have this bulging like line of like salted taffy in my jacket. And yeah, every movie after that, we stopped by Dollarama and we just bought a big, like 10 pounds worth of candy, and then, and it was funny because like she bought the candy, and then we'd go up to concessions, and then she'd give me like a extra large soda and like a extra large popcorn. So I'm like walking with like, I could kind of cover it because it was so tall that like I could cover the candy, but. Yeah, she was the person who taught me how to sneak candy into a movie theater. So there you go. She taught me how to live life dangerously. So yeah, that's the memory I want to share. So yeah.
That's great, Jane.
Contraband.
I've really been struggling with this. I had a very complicated relationship with my mother. And we made peace in the end. But it was very complicated. And but the one thing I'm truly grateful for is that she broke the cycle. She was willing to go through the trouble, through the trials, the tribulations. I watched her scream through the phone at people who would tell her to go back to her husband, and I saw that. I was 10 years old when we left my dad, and I didn't even know she had sisters and brothers when we met you guys. Yeah, I didn't even know. I had no idea, really, even a concept that I had grandparents from her. Like it was a very, yeah, it was an experience. And the thing is like, she was willing to go through what she went through in order to break that cycle of abuse. And yeah, it was complicated between us because I really struggled with her. I really struggled on a different level with her. But there was one thing that always threaded itself through everything, was that no matter how difficult something is, you just keep going. It's whatever you do, just keep going. Don't just give up. And so I opened a childcare center, started it in 2019. Everything shut down, and I was like, okay, how do I do this? And it's the struggles that we went through as a kid that helped me understand that you just keep going and you find a way. And every time I thought I would give up, all of a sudden there was money or there was something there that just kept going, and I just kept praying, and like it just always, there was always something there to help us keep going. And it was amazing. It was phenomenal. I have experienced miracles in the last 3 years that I just never would have if I hadn't persevered and prayed through them. And that's the one legacy she left, was that perseverance. It's like, just because something is hard doesn't mean you give up. So yeah, that's what I've picked up. One of the funny things that I thought of earlier this afternoon, I had told Jaden about this, and I was glad that he can't do it to me. In the 80s, in the old cars, you could turn the volume up on the car when the car was off. She fell for it every single time. And all 5 of us kids would be sitting in the car dead silent, and she would never catch on. Since when do 5 kids in a car sit dead silent? And we'd be waiting for her to turn the car on, and that radio would blast her every single time. And she would jump out of her skin, and we would laugh so hard. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Was she in the car when you learned how to drive too?
No, nobody was in the car with me.
Oh, okay.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
My first experience driving a car, I had to reverse out of the parking spot, and she tried to tell me how to do it, and I had no clue, and I gunned it and went all the way across the parking lot, down the road, and across the up the hill, off the curb on the hill, across from the road from the parking lot, backwards. Strange thing is, she never really wanted to get in the car with me. I don't understand.
Nobody got your license anyway.
I have my license, so. She never quite trusted me. So, yeah, some funny experiences. My friend Kathy, we were friends since junior high, and she would come over to the house, and she had some interesting experiences with my mom, and she says, she sent me a text and she said, "I have many memories of your mom. Yes, she had a hard life, but boy, could she still make you laugh and always had a smile to share. And the pranks she pulled, I hope you're able to find comfort in some of the amazing memories." And Pam just sent a message here. Pam, our cousin. I remember as a kid, Esther and I were always together. I'd spend weekends there and a lot of time in the summertime. The first time I ever went away to summer camp was with Auntie. I was so scared to be away from home because I was so young, but Auntie came and made sure I was with her, and I didn't get to see her much. I didn't get to see her much as I became an adult, but I loved her so much and will miss her. So, yeah, that's kind of where it is with me. It's, I'm really glad that I was able to make my peace with her. So, yeah, I think I would have regretted it if I hadn't.
People have to know.
Hello, everyone. Y'all probably be crying, but so I'm Steven. Yeah, how do you talk about her? It's very complicated. You know, my daughter asks me, you know, do you love your mom? And I'm like, yes, but it's complicated. I took her to Hawaii a couple times, and just because I wanted to give her and show her what she made possible. I think that's really important. And I think that everything she did and said was to make whoever she was talking to happy. Right? If that meant 10 pounds of saltwater toffee, that's what it meant. And sometimes those were misses, but the where it came from was always exactly perfect. And anyone who knows her knows where it came from. You know, being at I was in the airport when she died. Wasn't quite able to make it, but seeing her in the hospital, she looks so relaxed Like, she's always so hard for her. And it's a great way. I'm so glad I got to see her relaxed, right? And she had an incredible amount of patience, and I think it's indisputable that she saved my life in two distinct occasions, and that was, of course, extracting us from a hopeless future, one of cyclical abuse and all sorts of other nonsense. But another time she saved my life was I was in graduate from school. I had my first job, and I can't say what it is she saved my life from, but if it wasn't for her, well, I wouldn't be here today. In that moment, she was available. And I think I might have only told her that I love her maybe 10 times, maybe. But, it's so hard to say those words to her, despite the fact that she took every possible opportunity to say them to us every time. And boy, did she love her grandkids. Like, Kaya here, she would FaceTime her with her tablet and drag my mom around the house for an hour. I would go up and say, "What's Kaya doing?" I totally forgot she was even on a call. And there grandma was on the floor, camera face up, Kaya drawing something and telling her all the stories and all this kind of stuff. And I think she really liked that. When I was flying here, and actually it was after when we were going through some of her stuff, I understood that I've never been so proud of someone in my life, because despite a lot of the things that Tammy said, and a lot of them are true, I've never been more proud of her. She had been able to get through so many things she struggled with. So going through trauma counseling had changed her life. It had changed her outlook. And it feels so wrong that after getting to that point that her body gave up on her. It feels wrong. But we all know, anyone who's known her, has never wanted to see her, and she never wanted to see her in a home. She never wanted to lose her license. She wanted to be independent. And that meant she was alone a lot of the time, but it's something she chose. And I'm glad she went out the way she wanted to go at the end of the day. So I always talk to her, like she loves movies, right? Everyone knows she loves movies. Last time she was at our place in Vancouver, I threw Lord of the Rings on. Hadn't watched it for a while. And not a religious movie, I get it, but she's like, "I don't want to watch this." I'm like, "Fine, go upstairs." She ended up watching it, and it's like, "So, where's the next one?" We basically couldn't stop watching it. By the time she left, a month later or something, she had watched it like 5 times.
But then she watched it at home.
Right.
Every day for a month.
That's one of the memories I was able to come up with that were happy. But she's always laughing and smiling. For us, it's hard because there's other stuff that it's hard to detach our happy memories from the ones that were less happy. But she was truly a great person. That's all there is to it. This is Rachel, and she would like to say something.
Try to keep it short. Not sure where to start, but I'm Rachel, Linda's daughter-in-law. She was truly the best mother-in-law I could have asked for. Our relationship was not complicated. I was nervous about meeting her at first. We hit it off right from the start. It's been truly an honor in so many ways. I think, she's been an angel, really, just kind of, especially since I became a mom, really walking me through, and she has so much to offer, to share, probably more than she would ever know. With her, though, she loves saying, keeps me out of trouble. Every time I kind of ask about how she's doing, she's saying she's, knitting or beading and whatnot, keeps her out of trouble. When in fact she was truly a gift to us, to our family. I remember writing her a letter soon after we met. I wanted to thank her for being so pivotal in breaking that cycle. I said, I have the husband I have today because of you. He wouldn't be here doing what he does if it's not for all the sacrifices you've made. It was easy. It's so easy to talk to her. I really appreciated that. I think, my love for her will continue. It's gonna keep on growing through our kids, grandkids. She really kind of found her calling as a grandmother. She loved all the grandkids so much, and that was beautiful. I'll always just hang on to those memories. Blueberry picking. Last time she came out to visit in Vancouver, she always baked banana bread, like 5 loaves, that she would stick into a Ziploc bag and throw into her luggage, and they would be still warm when she came out to visit. So many fond memories, but just always in our hearts, the best mother-in-law that I had the honor of knowing and being with. So love you, Linda.
It's just like when I miss her. She would always give me something. She would always spend so much money on us and so much attention, even if she would.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm Jeff's wife. So Linda was my mother-in-law, and she came to live with us for 4 years. But right after we were married, we went to Edmonton and celebrated a time there. I believe it was Christmas, and one of the first memories I have of Linda after we were married was I made mention of needing a bigger purse because I carry things with me, but I wanted something simple because I'm super simple. One color, whatever, but I like certain things. And the next thing I knew, I had a canvas bag that was super simple that I could take with me everywhere, that was practical. And that was just an essence of who she was. But for me, that touched me in a way because she was more of a mom to me at that point than my own parents were. happen, and she welcomed and just loved me. And I can see through her devotion to her kids and her grandkids that she just had a heart for people, and just to love them and make them feel loved and welcome. So I may not have the history with her, but I understand that history with her. But at the same time, I had a beautiful relationship with her that was simple but loving, and I never questioned. If you said anything, I mean anything that you would like, it would appear. And it never stopped. But that was probably my first fondest and my first memory really of Linda. And so that's my story. So.
Well, Stephen might be the golden child, but we saved the best child to the last. I think we can all agree to that. Like Stephen, he had a nicer airport. I was just looking at the last message. Jeff was keeping us tuned in, and I was stuck in a crappy airport in Brazil trying to get back to Canada. And Jeff sends this message. She is gone. And I didn't know what it meant. It was strange. I didn't know if he meant she went to go for surgery. I had to process it. It was odd. She's gone. So I was going to ask him, like, you mean she went to the bathroom? Come on, Jeff. Like, what does she is gone mean? I need more than that. I'm in this crappy airport looking forward to, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, the first flight out of Brazil. And I think it sunk in pretty quick what that meant. And Esther and Jeff were obviously with Mom when she passed, and we got the play-by-play as it happened, and it was really, really hard. And it's a sense of helplessness I'll probably never experience again in my life. How do I get out of this country, and how do I do it quickly? And the last thing I expected was that I would get here and she wouldn't be here. And it's a surprise. It's kind of indescribable. Like the rest of my brothers and sisters, I think we should get something framed. It's complicated. So we'll work on that. But, I tell people all the time that I tell them all about my brothers and sisters. We're all successful. Esther was undermining us. We're all successful. Tammy's a successful business owner. Jeff is a successful accountant. Stephen is a successful, technologist, let's go with. Every week he's calling me with a new idea. I can't keep up. So, and Esther is a successful businesswoman in partnership with her husband, Adam. And, it's complicated. And the underlying story is we're successful. And I tell people all the time, we came out of a single parent with 5 kids on welfare. And I talk to people from time to time who are against social services, who are against, in fact, in the airport in Orlando, I met a social worker. And I got to share the story of my mom with a social worker who was waiting for a flight with me in Orlando because hers got delayed, and we had this story, and we shared this story about social work. And my daughter Tiffany has gone into social work as well, and that was oddly my mom's passion when she went to Mount Royal College in Calgary and got a degree. It was in social work. It wasn't to generate revenue or calculate gross margin calculations, it was to help others. And I share that story with people all the time, and when I hear people that regale against social services sometimes, or the investment that we make in people, I let them finish, and I share with them a little bit of a story that says, did you know that society's investment in us paid off? And it paid off because my mom saw it through. And all of us are successful because of her. And people, we get disconnected sometimes from what really happens, the crisis that families get through and go through. But none of it in my story would have happened without her. There was no expectation that we would go to school, we would have a degree, we would get our CPA, we would have it was expected that we would. We were surrounded by the expectation that you would never do anything with your life. And to come away from that, all of us, and I hope that's something I've passed down to my 3 kids. They're all educated, graduated from school. And as they go into their lives, we broke that cycle, and it's encouraging to see that. But, there was always an expectation that we would succeed. I never thought any other way. And it took me 30 years to recognize that I never thought any other way. It was the thought of failing was foreign. The thought of not succeeding, it was just expected. And that came from her. And Tammy, when you mentioned when you guys, when Mom took you away from northern BC, I don't know why, but and I think it was Aunt Marilyn came back and said, Linda's gone, and took and left. And the only thing I could think of, the only question I asked was who was going to make lunch tomorrow. It's funny how the brain works, right? You didn't think, well, what's going to happen? What are all these consequences or these implications? I was just worried about lunch the next day. And I'm glad I'm more than that now. And spending the time that we grew up together in Calgary, and there's a lot of memories. Most of them were just chuckling at the way Tammy drives, but my mom lived through travel. She loved to travel. When Stephen and I went with her to Hawaii in 2008, that was her dream. I don't think she ever expected to go. I think she expected she would never, ever, ever get to Hawaii. And Stephen and I had the opportunity. He called me up and said, all right, let's do this. And I think I got there for $38 on points. And my life was complicated at the time. And, we booted around Hawaii, living cheaply. Esther donated a timeshare, and, it was amazing. And a lot of these pictures, this picture was taken on a boat on the Nepali coast coming back from Hawaii. And she hated having pictures of her. Most of her that know that know that. And I think Stephen took that picture, and it captures a moment of happiness that I think was rare for her up until the later parts of her life. I think she enjoyed it more lately, but that was hard. And it's a funny story to be able to tell. To think that in 2008, how old would she have been? In her late 50s? Late 50s. And that's the first time she had really, I think, traveled internationally, left the country. And it was an amazing opportunity to do that. And I'll close up here and stop talking, but one of the last messages she sent. We have this funny thing, and Stephen didn't mention it, but I will, but we started a Wordle. Everybody heard of Wordle earlier this year. So we created a Wordle chat group back in January and February, March, and everybody was playing every day, and Tiffany started playing again recently. But I use that group when I travel to post pictures because everybody's just in it. So we stopped playing Wordle, but it became my travel blog as I went down. And one of her last messages was on Sunday, and she says, "I'm glad you got there safely. I just know you travel," sorry, I can hardly read it. Your travels allow me to, I just know," she has a typo here and I'm trying to figure out what word she was trying to use. "I just know you travel vicariously through the pics you send." I think what she was trying to say through her typo was she gets to travel along, and that was the important thing. And sharing those journeys with her and sharing the experience. There's nobody more enthusiastic to get a picture of, I don't know, the inside of a cathedral in Brasilia than anybody on earth. You know, the love symbol and she was enthralled. And, Ruth, I think you really hit the nail on the head to close off. I think she was unquestionably proud of each of us. And I think that that's what makes the complicated part of complicated, is that we know that through all of her faults, we are what we are because of her, and she loved us without question. And she was so proud of us. And it was hard to live up to that sometimes, but I'm glad that I was able to get here. And one closing note, the company that I work for, they've planted a tree already, actually. An essa tree or an eta tree, I can't say it in Portuguese. But I was with them in Annapolis when she passed at dinner when this was all happening and I had to leave. And the president of the company down there, and they've already planted a tree with a Canadian flag and a plaque with her name on it. So I find it interesting, her international travels. She'll be
She'll be honored. That's lovely.
So if anybody else has anything, doesn't look like it. Okay. Okay.
Does anyone else want to say anything?
Steve, I have a question that you could ask the rest of your family. I want to know if, I know it started with Tammy and her driving record, and I know it ended with Esther and her 200 points of demerits when she got it. So how did you boys do in your driving?
Come on, look at me. Obviously, we're all awesome. What's shocking is Tammy's the only one with a license in her family.
The only one with the what?
Driver's license in your family. You're the only driver in your family. So, we'll just close with a few acknowledgements. It was hard to see this when we were at her apartment the day after, but the best we can determine is that she was playing Wordle when she eventually, like, that was the last thing she did. And from what I understand, the word she always started with was adieu. And that was I took a screenshot, and adieu was her guess. And that was the last thing she was doing something she loved, word games, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, the second guess was sewer. I don't know. But maybe she had to go to the bathroom.
Dad,
It was all unsolved.
I remember me and Grandma used to play word chums.
That's right.
And it's her turn in word chums. I'm
That's
not
right.
sure how the games are all gonna end now. It's like,
She spawned another reader with Jace. So anyway. Okay, so the acknowledgements I would like to make are with Jeff and Melissa. They actually basically bought a house so that Mom could have a place to live, right? We all have complicated relationships with her, but she had in Jeff and Melissa, an amazing place that she could feel safe, and it wasn't easy. Don't make that mistake. It wasn't easy. But that's why it's so appreciated, Melissa and Jeff. It's easy to just take that as something we would do as kids, and of course any of us would have done it. Well, maybe not Tammy, just because it's complicated.
Tammy did her time years ago.
Yeah, but we've all helped out, but I just want to make sure everyone knows that Jeff and Melissa really made her final years especially special. The second acknowledgement is Esther and Adam. Like, you've been central to her life. And the thing she wanted more than anything is for all of us to just get along, right? To just love each other. And though we do, it's complicated. And with Mom passing, Esther, you've lost your pillar for your journey in cancer. But I think the thing she wanted most before she went is that you have 4 siblings that are here for you as you go through that. And 2 years ago, we couldn't have said that. And I think that's really special, and you should know that. Another thing, she always just wanted to pay for her meal.
So we would buy her gift cards, give her the gift card, and then we would go for supper, and then she would give us the gift card so that she felt like she was paying for the meal.
Don't take anything from anyone, but give them everything. That was how she lived her life. So I know not all of you are coming to dinner, but most of you are. And this is her final gift. She's buying all of us through what she left, which was just enough. And that makes me really happy. I think that she left at the best of times, because we're together, we're here, we're having fun, and it's all she ever wanted. So thanks everyone for coming.
Just 1 second. Ashley, Pam's daughter. She says, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but at the end of the day, she was the most kind and sweetest woman. She was a strong person, and I admire her so much, and was so fortunate to be her great niece. I love you, Auntie, and I'll miss you. That's from Ashley.
You want to just close it off?
Goodbye.
So long.
I do.
Farewell. I'll do
You gotta start with, gotta go, because that was your mom's motto, right?
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Gotta go. Yeah, so, yeah, it's, I'm really glad that she went fast. I really am. Like, for her to have suffered so much, and then for her to even have to suffer in death would have been horrifying.
She wasn't alone. And like,
Yeah.
Jeff, and that's-
And she wasn't alone when she died.
It was a big fear of hers to
Yeah.
long and painful.
Yeah, it was.
Unlike a lot, she had a will, she was prepared, she had powers of attorney.
Yeah, so the fact that she's in heaven now, she's met her Lord and Savior, she's experiencing she's experiencing a joy she never would have experienced here.
She's probably training to be Santa Claus.
I don't think Santa Claus exists. So, yeah, you know, that's a good point. She didn't have to suffer in death. She just went.
And
So,
it was, the doctors all said it was painless as well, which makes me happy.
so yeah, that's that. That's our mom in a nutshell.
Actually, a snowman hit.
So the sense of humor passed on to Steve.
So I want to thank everybody who is watching the live feed right now. I really appreciate anybody who has signed on, logged in, and joined in this. And thank you to those of you who shared your memories and your final wishes and stuff like that. So, yeah. And that is the end. It's kind of hard to end this one. It's final.
Yes, there's pictures up here.
Yeah, you take pictures.
We are,
Yeah, we were going to get family photos at a park or something. If you want to get the water folder.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's what you were attached on.
Yeah.
Steve. Okay.
Hmm?